Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Elite Racing League here at the Old Testament Firearms Truck Series. It's the final race of the round of 12 to figure out the four drivers that are going to be battling out for a championship here next week at Iowa. But for tonight, it's the Go FMX 150 at Richmond, where we've got 150 laps to figure out where these drivers are going to be lying. As you see here, our track info. This course, 3/4 of a mile, and with how many laps there are, it's going to be a wild race for sure. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is James East, who's also running productions. James, we really don't know how this race is going to go. Richmond is kind of a coin toss on if it's going to go green for most of the race or a caution-filled type of event.
Yeah, it's anybody's guess, Sam. I'm expecting more of cautions tonight. We've only got this round in the championship race coming up, so I think if there's going to be a time we're going to see drivers absolutely willing to hang it out and try and make something here at the very end, I think it's going to be now.
Looking at the field, we been seeing the field shrinking a lot more. 2 weeks ago at Charlotte, we had 25 drivers racing there. Then we had Memorial Weekend, where we took the weekend off for ourselves. It was a good break for me. I got to go out to the beach, have some fun out there with family. What did you do, James, last week?
I found myself at a motorcycle track. My girlfriend does track days, so we were at Talladega Grand Prix. She was burning some laps on her new race bike trying to get settled in with it. So overall, good weekend. So even when we're not in the booth, we're still at a racetrack somewhere.
Oh, that sounds like a blast of a weekend for sure. And then we took last week off, like we said, and we're here tonight. Richmond Raceway for the FMX 150. A lot of pressure on these drivers. We already know Matthew Weeks locked in with his win that he got at Dover to start off the round of 12. Now we've got a lot of other drivers still trying to figure out where they're going to be placed. We've got Vincent Isabella, that of Hank Steinmiller, Alexander Van de Sant. That is your top four. And trying to get in either with points or a win, you've got that of Ryan Barbary, Jeff Green, and Chuck Sweeting. And then you drop back to 8th on back in points. These drivers in a must-win scenario if they want to put themselves in the Final Four to race at Iowa for the Trucks Championship. That's where we're going to be finding ourselves with Austin Beers, Harrison Talon, as well as Zach Evans, Kendall Noah Player, and Blake Barney. And all those drivers, a lot of pressure on themselves to do well. But here tonight, it's Ethan Burrell, top of the board, as you're looking on board with that of Jeff Green in that 38 C2 Freight Resources. Big thanks to all of our sponsors, C2 Freights and Resources, one of our main sponsors that we have with us. They help with all of your freights and other objects that need to be moved from one place to another. They help you out in that way. They've also got a digital way for you to actually watch your trees in racing. They've been around since 1955. They keep on growing, getting bigger. Probably one of the most recognizable floristries out in the racing world. Go to www.richmarflorist.com for your orders that can help you with any special surprise that you might be missing. But James, qualifying's coming to a close, less than a minute. A lot of the drivers have already put their times down. About, I would say 9 drivers, though, deciding why not I just stay in the back.
Yeah, 15 drivers so far have put down quality times. We see Ryan Barbieri, he's still out there. Hank Steinmiller, I believe he's out on track. So guys are starting to click off a couple laps, trying to get those places. And look at Campbell taking provisional poles so far with a 22.04. So about 2/100ths of a second faster than Burrell. And then Chad Frankenfield sitting third for provisional qualifying results. So some of the guys getting in those last second qualifying, trying to make something happen. And here comes Steinmiller. He clicks it off with a third right there.
Yeah, I mean, these drivers certainly putting on a show. Gerald Campbell, top of the board, with Ethan Burrell following suit, and looking like that's it. The drivers have put down the best times that they've wanted to. 19 drivers decided to put a time down, and 6 others decided not to. 25 drivers have shown up for today's race. We'll see how many of them actually decide to finish out and put themselves on the grid. But it's Gerald Campbell getting the pole position to his outside. It's going to be that of Ethan Burrell, Hank Steinmiller, Chad Frankenfield, your second row, Jeff Green, Harrison Talon, row number 3, Vincent Isabella, and Alexander Van de Sant going to be in 7th and 8th, with 9th and 10th going to be Matthew Weeks, already locked into the final 4, and Tyler Dixon. And then Ryan Barbary, then that of Dylan Thomas, Dylan Jones, You got the Dillons going to be in 12th and 13th. Then you got Alex Balvance with David Westergreen. Zach Evans. Evans is in a very much difficult spot. Needs to win. Starting back in 16th. This is a tough place to start out, but it is a long race, 150 laps. You've got a lot of time. Michael Goodman, then that of Mark Keeler, and then you've also got Dustin Doer with Trey Hummels, and then Brett Jones, Brody Moore, Josiah, Josh Personette, Kyle Walgreen, and then you've also got that of Jeremy Sickles finishing out your 25. Looking at the field, this is going to be an interesting one. You've got a couple of championship winners here in the Elite Series. Just got word that for that of Gerald Campbell, also for Chad Frankenfield and Tyler Fody, they are not eligible for the next week's race, for the championship race. As per rules, if you've won the championship and you are not in the championship hunt for that race, you cannot win. You cannot go into that race and affect that championship run that those drivers are having. So interesting call. We're going to probably have a little bit of a smaller number of drivers next week for the championship race.
Yeah, 25 drivers tonight. Like you said, Charlotte, about 25 drivers as well. So as the series chugs along and drivers realize, hey, I'm not going to make it into the main event or the championship run, I should say, some of the guys realize, you know what, it's going to be better to do a little bit of off-season testing, try and work on our strategy with our crews, get things ready for next season. So I think that's why you see maybe those 5 to 10 names we're used to calling out every week that aren't here and probably won't be here in the upcoming races as well. The championship race, they'll be back there trying to figure some stuff out in the off-season.
Some drivers have gotten hit with EOLs to start out this race. Our pole sitter, Gerald Campbell, he is going to be going all the way back to the end of the line. Same with Brett Jones. So for our pole sitter, he's going to have a lot of work to get back up front. But now it's going to be having the 24, Ethan Burrell, as well as Hank Steinmiller, side by side.
Yeah, I believe Personette had something as well. He came into the pit, so I mean, he might be starting from pit lane as well. Not sure what his strategy is. I see Jeff Sickles. I think you called him out. He's going to the very back. So, unfortunate for those guys not having the right. I believe it's the window banners, correct?
Yeah, the banners. That is one of the causes for getting an EOL. Also, if the admins catch you tampering with qualifying, so if you're running slow, trying to build up heat in your tires for qualifying, trying to gain any advantage you can, that is also an offense to get you an EOL. We weren't given the official reasons for those drivers, but those are the possible reasons for them to be placed there. As laps, this is going to be an interesting one for these drivers, especially for those.
Yeah, Burrell gets a huge on. Steinmiller's going to try and tuck in line behind them. And then, man, look at Jeff Green and the boys back here. That's a very, very stacked field. We got one too wide right off the rip. Hoping they can get everything sorted out, maybe drop single file and try and chug off some laps in this stage. It is a 3-stage race, so 2 stages of 40 laps each, and then one final stage of 70 laps. So you will see competition caution come out at lap 40 after I believe the 10th truck has crossed the line. See everybody start coming in for their pit cycle on that one.
Yeah, looking at the drivers right now, those that need to have a good run. Jeff Green in 4th place, one of those drivers that needs to make sure that he finishes in front of that of Vincent Isabella, Hank Steinmiller, Alexander Van de Sant, especially in front of Van de Sant or Jeff Green. The issue, got to be at least 8 position difference between that of the 97 and 38. Right now, currently, it's only a 2-car difference between themselves.
Yeah, anybody's race this early on, 150 laps around a fairly technical racetrack, Richmond Raceway. It's very different than the cookie cutters or super speedways a lot of these guys are normally running on. Tire wear is definitely going to be a factor longer in the run. These guys tend to push early on, and it can really, really kill that front right tire and dig into the corners. So we're going to see some guys trying to play a little bit safe, save some fuel, and save some tires. The other guys are going to be hammered down as hard as they possibly can. Tire wear just out the window, and try and get those few spots they can early on in the run, and then try and slow it up.
Drivers up front, all of them still staying single file down. You drop back to the battle for 11. Alec Balvance, Ryan Fibery is going to be also battling there for the 46. Ryan's in a must-win scenario. One of those drivers, well, I wouldn't say he's a must-win, but certainly needs to have a great showing for himself, as all the 4 drivers that are locked in the championship, or that would be locked in if the race ended now, are in front of that of the 46 as he is dropping back.
Yeah, so far the field doesn't look to be quite as settled down as we thought. A lot of guys still going 2x2, trying out some different lines and trying to get some positions. That mid-pack is always the place to watch, as those guys are going to be pushing the hardest. They've got the most to gain right here, so they have a little bit more reason to hang out in the line, while you might see the front 5-pack is kind of happy, tucking in single file and riding along there.
Yeah, as we were watching the rear end of Val Van seeing David Westergreen. Westergreen's actually under fire from Gerald Campbell. We're seeing the battles in up front. Side-by-side action for 6th place. You got 2 rows there, about to be 3 wide. That's Harrison Talon. He's getting stuck in the middle, and that is an issue to be, as it looks like Alexander Van de Sant, he's going to be following back. But it certainly was getting hectic for 7th.
Yeah, Van de Sant's probably making the executive decision here. You know what? I don't want to push it this early on. We're only 10 laps, so a quarter way into the first stage. It is a long race with a lot of points to be made, so it's maybe wiser to back off a little bit, let the other drivers kill off some of their tires from, and then start picking away at him as the run progresses.
I mean, for Alexander, the only driver he is worried about in the 97 would be that of Jeff Green. Jeff Green, right now, only driver that's outside of the top 4 coming into this race that has in front of some of our other 4 drivers, with Jeff Green kind of in a must-win scenario if we're based on where the drivers are lying, because for our front 4, all they have to do besides that of Matthew Weeks, finish in the top 10, and you've practically locked yourself in unless one of those other drivers wins this race.
Yeah, Green's a very smart driver. We see him at the front pretty much every week when bad luck doesn't strike. So expecting the 38 machine to do some pretty spectacular stuff here tonight. We know he's got the knowledge and the ability to run up front when he has to. So I think we're going to see the 38 Jeff Green just kind of falling in line behind Chad Frankenfield for a little while, see what everybody is doing, kind of figure out the field strategy overall, and then start putting in work.
Looking at, and while we were reading through the field, didn't read off the names, that of Austin Beers or Kendall Noah players. So those are 2 of the 12 that did not show up for today's race, which is giving a lot of opportunity for those other drivers, and also did not see that of Blake Barney in the mix. So 9 drivers showing up for today's race of our championship 12. There's only going to be 3 spots that are open for grabs. So a very difficult scenario that these drivers are put into. Look, I mean, based off the gaps that we were seeing from our front 4 in points to the rest of the field, certainly looked like as long as they're running up front, get those top 10 bonus points, they're looking poised and good to continue to move on into our championship 4.
Yes, it's really tough with such a stacked field of talent every week to make big moves. So other places where everybody the field's a little bit less similar as far as skill goes, sometimes you can make up 5-6 spots in a night pretty easy. But when everybody's running such a good pace week in and week out and staying so consistent, 1 or 2 points is a pretty big gain among such a similar stacked field of drivers.
Do want to give note, Gerald Campbell, our pole sitter, who was up front, had an EOL, had to move all the way back to the end of the line. He's moved himself back up into 9th in just about 14 laps. A great showing from this 20 machine, who only shows up periodically throughout the season, but always a very strong truck. Also give note, that of Jeremy Sickles did not even take the course. He has actually already left the server, so we've only got 24 drivers out there on track, which makes the field of gaining points even slimmer.
Yeah, Campbell's already putting a gap on the guys behind him. He's up a second over 10th place Tyler Dixon, the 54 machine. And Campbell's also clicking off lap times very, very similar to what the lead pack is doing, and that's with no draft support from ahead or behind him. So Campbell's a man on a mission. He's got his head down, wants to get back up there to that top spot, so expect to see him. He should catch that pack by the end of the run, if I had to guess, by lap 40.
Lap 40 is when stage 1 comes to a close, and all these drivers aiming for that spot. We've really seen a lot throughout the season of drivers learning in the first stage of how they want to attack the rest of the race, because that first stint really can teach you, am I being too aggressive? Do I need to slow down and save my tires for the longer run? How do I want to work myself through the rest of the race? And that's one of the beauties of stage racing, is it gives you that time to really, try something out in that first stint, because you know what caution's going to come out, and then reset, regroup, take that knowledge, and implement it later on in the race.
Yeah, only 18 fast laps into this run so far, and guys are already falling off the pace due to tire wear. most of the drivers are down almost 7/10 of a second from their best runs. So these guys are noticeably slower as that front right and rear right start to wear in really bad. So the pace will start dropping. It's going to be a battle of who's saving tires a little bit better, who's pushing a little bit less hard than the guy right behind him. You'll start to see some differences develop later on the run. But for the most part, these guys are clicking off about 23 flats this time around. And then their best lap so far this session of this race were low 22s, 22.2s, 22.25, so on and so forth. So expecting the pace to drop down a lot, maybe a full second and a half by the time they hit that stage in at lap 40.
Yeah, we were told by the drivers that the fuel run is about 100 laps. So during the last stint, which is going to be a 70-lap run for the drivers, there's going to be questions on, do you want to pit for tires or not? If you do pit for tires, if you split the stint in half, that is not a lot of time to try to unlap yourself and then try to make a pass.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking at live time, and by the time we come around lap 35, so which should be halfway through the very last stage tonight, I'm curious to see just how far off the pace some of these guys are going to be. And to be fair, they could be running a very different strategy for these 40-lap stages. They could be all out, tire wear, no worries, but might do something a little bit different for that third and final stage. So I'm very curious to see just how much of a difference there is going to be in their best times compared to their last when we get to about 12 more laps into this stage.
As we've been watching the 15 of Chad Frankfield, who's been running in third place. Huge shout out to Chad Frankfield, who makes the whole entire Elite Racing League, the Elite Racing Network, puts it all together, and certainly is the center point of this whole entire operation. Does such a fabulous job, and also doing a great job running in third place.
Now, I wonder if Frankenfield actually gets on Twitter midway through a stage run and sends us stuff, or if he's got a professional secretary that might be doing that for him.
Oh, it's always usually under caution. If we have a question, Chad looks at his phone and gives us the answer while racing. It's always impressive.
Oh, there he is.
But do not text and drive.
He just checked Twitter as he gets loose around that straightaway.
We very much say do not text and drive. It's very dangerous and it would put you in trouble. But Chad Frankfield, he's on the virtual side of things. So
yeah, he's fine. He's a professional on and off the track.
Well, Jeff Green looking, he's in fourth place. Not very much news from them. It seems like for our leaders, it's just a back and forth, pretty equal footing on lap times as that of Ethan Burrell and Hank Steinmiller. They're running practically identical times, and they have not gotten away from each other, but they are getting away from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, Burrell and Steinmiller both put down 23.11 last time by. Compared to Frankenfield, he put down a 23.23, and Green put down a 23.31. So it looks like Green's kind of slowed up just a little bit. He might be having tire wear in the back of his mind as the run develops, but Burrell and Steinmiller are just holding it down as hard as they can right now.
We touched on the fact that Gerald Campbell could be catching up to the tail end of the group in front of him, as that was about a 1.5 second difference. It is gone, as that of Gerald Campbell is caught up to the back of that of Alexander Van Sant and about to make a pass for third place, which incredible by the 20 machine that he's gotten this close and an opportunity to make even 2 more passes before we get to the end of stage 1.
Yeah, he's right on the rear of Van Sant. And that's the 3. Is that Dylan Thomas right in front of him?
Yeah, that's Dylan Thomas in the 53, just puttering along. You're starting to see the tire wear difference, drivers that are running a little bit higher than what you would think.
Oh, there goes Green. He sticks it on the inside of Van Sant. Can't quite make it stick, but he has shown the wheel. Van Sant's got to know he's got a very fast truck right behind him, so curious to see how this is going to develop. Van Sant does run high that time around, maybe gets a little over the Green, a professional courtesy maybe, but Green not able to quite get around that 97 machine just yet.
Yeah, you're just seeing the differences of progress on how the field and the track is evolving. Is that Van Sant's trying the high groove as Gerald Campbell is trying the low side, and it's so different on how they're attacking these courses, but you could just see Van Sant, that outside lane was really what was keeping him ahead of the 20 when they're on the same lane on the inside. We're seeing Gerald Campbell really get close as it's just all the braking points these drivers have to hit lap after lap, and also focusing on their brake bias, on how well they're going to be changing that aspect throughout the race, because I know some drivers, they feel like instead of getting on the brakes a little bit earlier. I'll change my brake bias throughout a run to make sure that I'm keeping up with the car and the way the tires are evolving.
Yeah, a lot of these guys will start backing it towards the rear a little bit more as the run develops. So it helps the truck rotate a little bit more around the corners. But then it's a fine line between saving tires and rotating the truck, and then next thing you know, too much braking, you're going around for a ride. So always a fun game for these drivers to play. They are always working on something, doesn't matter when or where, but they're trying to progress and get to be the best of their ability as much as they possibly can. Look at this, Alex Van de Sant, he's starting to reel in Dylan Thomas.
Dylan Thomas, he just seems to be struggling just slightly here, running about 2/10 off of what our other two drivers have been running behind him. Also, I'm not going to call the driver out, but one of the drivers did say, good job everyone for keeping it green, which it is always a prime way to jinx the field.
That's worse than a commentator's curse. That is a surefire way to bring out a caution. But right now the guys are doing good. And so we touched on it earlier in the broadcast, what their times are going to be at lap 35, maybe do a little bit of planning for that third stage. Right now, your top two, Ethan Burrell, Hank Steinmiller, they're clicking off 23.34s together. Jeff Green's clicking off 23.56s. Looks like most of the field's in that 23.4, 23.56 range. So just about 1.3 seconds slower at this 35 lap mark than their best times of the race.
Give note to one of the drivers that's now in pit road. Brody Moore didn't qualify, didn't put a time down, but certainly had some decent pace during practice. But for the 11, had some issues and has been in pit road for over 2 minutes. It looks like he got into the wall and still trying to get that damage repair, as there is no fast repair. If you get any damage, you have to manually repair it under pit road.
Yeah, that's a bummer, especially for long runs. Maybe that's the best thing for him if he can get back out there. Hopefully, and only stay a couple laps down, a few laps down. He'll have at least one chance for a lucky dog with the stage caution. And then, from right now, it looks like a pretty good green race. Everybody's keeping it well maintained and driving smart. But all he needs is a caution or two. He can get back in the lead lap and get back in contention to go race for some big points.
We're watching multiple different racing actions. We've been watching that of Dylan Thomas and Van de Sant. They've been battling strong, and then this also battle of Vincent Isabella, Matthew Weeks, drivers that could be battling this hard in a week from now at Iowa for a championship. We already know Matthew Weeks is locked in. Vincent Isabella came into this race second in points, 19 points away from the leader, and I believe about 16 points off from the bubble spot. So plenty of room to mess around, especially with that of Brody Moore having issues, and also starting to see the back half of the field being put a lap down as Brent Jones goes a lap down, as well as Josh Personnette going a lap down. So for Brody Moore, still trying to get repairs done, looking like his day could be over unless we start to see a spree of cautions coming out. But this is it, white flag of the stage. We're waiting for the 10th driver to come across the line. That's going to be Harrison Talon, as everyone else continues to race on around him. Talon comes out of 4, and stage 1 comes to a close.
Yeah, surprisingly good green flag run. I can be perfectly honest, that's not what I expected, especially around here at Richmond. The guys are doing a pretty good job maintaining it. And then only that last time around, the leaders were about 1.2 seconds off their best lap time. So tire wear not as bad as I thought it was going to be on this shorter stage of 40 laps. So that might indicate they'll try and do that final stage as one big run to give them the opportunity. We know fuel's not going to be an issue for the drivers. It's going to leave plenty of space left over. I'm wondering how slow they're going to be at the end of that final run if they do stay out the entire time.
Yeah, their lap times that they were putting down, just based off our leader. Best lap time that he had put that whole entire run was a 22.279. Last lap that our leader put down before the caution flag waved was a 23.431. So about a second, 1.2 seconds off of what his best time was after 40 laps. So it's going to be an interesting call as all the drivers coming into the pits. No one's trying any shenanigans, but again, these drivers, had a certain amount of tires, 4 in fact for this race, one set that they had in when they started this race, and 3 more sets in pit road to utilize. We were expecting at least end of stage 1, end of stage 2. 2 sets were going to be used during those spots, and then the final set, if a late caution comes out, might be used around that time. Ooh. Under pit road, Chad Frankenfield able to take the front place there.
Yeah, Chad had a pretty great pit stop with a 14.47 seconds by the time he entered his box. So he is 0.3 faster than most people out there. So he did a good job getting in and out, gaining some positions off of pit road. So well done to Frankenfield for that one.
Just saw the message in the chat. Looks like Sickles was not able to make the green because of internet issues for that team. You hate to see when the internet comes in, but the internet's kind of like our random mechanical errors that the real life drivers have. The internet woes can change almost everything out here.
Yeah, I hate to hear that for Sickles. He's a good, strong driver, so that's the worst thing for him is you put in all the work during the week leading up to the race, trying to get everything ready, talking to your crew chief, developing strategies, and then outside factors just kind of ruin the evening for you.
Well, stage one has come to a close. You gotta give credit to the whole entire field staying green during that whole entire time. With the end of stage one, this is how they finished, as that was Ethan Burrell, Hank Steinmiller, Chad Frankenfield, Jeff Green, Vincent Isabella, Matthew Weeks, Dylan Thomas, Alexander Van de Sant, Gerald Campbell, and Harrison Talon, your top 10, getting bonus points for stage one. And for Jeff Green, he's gaining bonus points over Alexander Van de Sant. Huge for himself because it just makes it a little bit closer. The biggest thing for Jeff Green is he's actually came into this 20 points out from that fourth place position. So still a lot of work to do for the 38 team.
Yeah, well done to Green. Well done to Gerald Campbell as well. I mean, getting back up to 9th spot after being about 24th, 25th or so. So Green doing a fantastic job getting back up there. Something he's got a chance to make something happen.
And Josh Personette, after taking the wave around, going to be now putting himself on the lead lap, but did not pit, did not take tires, still on the original set. So still a lot of work to do for the 18, hoping for a quick caution if he wants to get himself back into the mix of things here. But right now, a total of 22 drivers left on the lead lap. With that, Brody Moore still getting repairs done, and Brett Jones being left one lap down.
Looking forward to seeing what we get out of Frankenfield on the restart. He's been a top 5 driver for sure all season, so nice to see him out front. Frankenfield is away with Ethan Barrow in tow. We'll also be watching Steinmiller and Green. They're going to be pushing hard off the start and try and settle in and make something happen.
Top 5 all in line. You have to drop all the way back to 7th place for side-by-side action
there they
between.
go.
Oh no, Vincent Isabella!
Isabella with a big
our
crash. That's the first caution of the night.
That is the funky spot to go around, but when he did, I believe it was all on his own, and it was. As we'll see on this replay, Isabella coming through turn 1 and out of turn 2, just got a little bit giddy on getting on the throttle, and whoop, there goes the back end.
Yeah, too much apron and a little bit too much throttle, but he does keep the big kitty machine off of the wall, so that's going to help him out. Now, granted, he's going to have a little bit of tire wear as he locked it up, but he did everything right besides coming out the corner a little bit hot, so hopefully he can get back in there. As far as crashes go, it could have been much, much worse for Isabella.
It really could, as now Vincent Isabella going to have to start all the way in the back. Josh Personette going to be able to get his new tires and also fuel, so he'll have a lap better tires compared to the rest of the field. Also, Brett Jones will get the wave around, putting him back on the lead lap, leaving us with 23 drivers on the lead lap. Brody Moore still in pit road getting service repaired on the 11th.
Man, Personette got lucky with that one, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
he could have, in theory, he could have gone the whole run on fuel alone, but man, he did not want to. So just like that, he's got a chance to actually be back in it, do a little bit of racing with everybody.
Yeah, because we were seeing the drivers, I mean, when we went green for that whole entire first 40 laps, we were seeing the back half of the field going a lap down. So it was most likely we were going to see Personette in 20-25 laps if they stayed green, going a lap down again, and most likely would not be the first car one lap down. So very lucky to have this early caution come out, and now it shrinks stage 2 that was already smaller than stage 1, even shorter than what it was before.
Yep, cautions breed caution. So in Richmond, this could be exciting. It's going to be a what, 30 lap shootout at the end of the stage. So tires really start falling off around lap 20 or so. These guys are going to have a little bit more in reserve where they can actually push a little bit more, less worry about tire wear. And this is where it could possibly be rapidly more exciting as you see guys trying to make a little bit more gutsy moves when they have fresh tires. They're stuffed in, they're relatively heated up for that restart. Now they can go right off the line.
And due to Vincent Isabella being the cause of the caution, 42 machine will get the EOL, but he was already going to be all the way in the back of the pack. So, you know, just doubling down on the fact that you are staying back there, Isabella, until we go green.
Poor Isabella just can't catch a break. That was a insult to injury, I think.
Absolutely. Well, we've seen on the restarts that the leader has been taking the outside. Are you seeing that as something unusual, or do you think that that's pretty normal here at Richmond?
I'm not sure about Richmond. I'm usually an inside line kind of guy. I like to be able to hold that defensive line, and if somebody's faster, they'll come on by. But it's always a risky move running that high line than trying to swoop into the preferred line, which looks like it's the bottom lane here, Richmond. Consistently in the run, not a lot of guys running high lines or even that middle line. So, gonna be curious to see what Burrell does here. If I guess he's gonna start high again, but then hope and pray Frankenfield gives him enough of a space as he tries to drop down low off the restart.
It looks like Ethan Burrell going to stay on the high side once again. So obviously these drivers seeing something else than what we're seeing, feeling like the outside lane. It might be due to the fact that they feel like the outside allows them to get up to speed a lot better and coming out of the corner much cleaner out of the two on these restarts. Could be one of the factors. As Brent Jones, he did get the lucky dog, but because he had a lot of repairs to do under pit stops, he stays one lap down. So only 22 drivers left on the lead lap. Huge thanks to FMX.com for being a part of the broadcast, being part of this and sponsoring a couple of the races this season. It's green flag out in the air. Ethan Burrell up to a quick lead, and it's going to be Hank Steinmiller trying to force it 3 wide. It's to go into turn number 1. Steinmiller feeling the pressure, doesn't want to give green any more momentum, and just like that, Steinmiller went from 3rd all the way. I mean, he's trying to defend this position. Remember, letting Jeff Green be in front of him.
Steinmiller says, watch it, I'm going to do it again. He makes it 3 wide off the first go-around with Frankenfield and Green, and makes it 2 wide with himself and Frankenfield. Steinmiller knows what he has to do, and he has to do it quickly, not allowing Frankenfield to drop down low. But the problem is, Steinmiller puts himself in a position where Frankenfield gets such a better drive out of the corner, allowing Frankenfield being allowed to drift high, while Steinmiller is kind of pinched right there. So that's going to stack up the field a little bit behind them, as you see Green and Weeks also going side by side.
Yeah, and with him being in 2 rows side by side, it's giving Ethan Burrell a chance to pull away, as he is now over half a second. At one point he was 7/10 faster than the rest of the field. Had a little bit of a slip up, but here comes Jeff Green trying to not give Frankenfield any room. But what a crossover move in the center of the corner for Frankenfield to get right under that of Steinmiller.
Yeah, Frankenfield's going to hold him up high, but and like we've been saying, you can definitely make a little bit of a dive bomb pass right there, but it's so hard to carry momentum because you naturally want to drift up the racetrack as Green just does. He takes the preferred line. But now Frankenfield's going to be stuck to the bottom, using up a little bit of tires as Steinmiller runs that middle line. Steinmiller should be able to keep enough momentum here to keep guarding that high line and prevent Frankenfield from making a good clean pass. So interested to see if Frankenfield's going to keep pressing the issue down low, or no, he's going to get blocked by Steinmiller right there. Now they're all in the single file groove.
Yeah, that all started coming out of turn number 4, where Frankenfield got loose, bobbled, lost some ground, and here goes Matthew Weeks, could get under that of Jeff Green. Green's got to be careful, and behind them, Gerald Campbell, our pole sitter, he has finally figured out how to get underneath of Dylan Thomas. We'll see if the 20 can finally secure that pass, as Weeks not able to make the pass on Jeff Green. But Campbell's got the run, but being pinched by the 53. But Campbell's got the run off the corner, still side by side, entering turn number 3.
Yeah, that's a tough spot to try and get yourself cleared. I mean, you've got the speed, but you can't drift up any without kind of checking your buddy, which is going to be Dylan Thomas up there on the high line. So Campbell, I think he's going to get it this time by. He does. He gets down nice and low. He's going to be able to drift up the race line, blocking Dylan Thomas from getting another drive as well. And just like that, Campbell's back up to 6th.
Great rebound for that team right there. Able to move up all the way back, like we've stayed back from 23rd, now up to 6th place. It's taken over a stage, but certainly a great run for Gerald Campbell to come back from being that early UL before they even took the green. An update for Vincent Isabella, who was part of that first caution flag that we really had, besides our stage 1 caution. The 42 started all the way back in 22nd position, up to 17th, and trying to get by the 88 currently, but I think for Vincent Isabella, he could be stalling out right now.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be very frustrating. You know you've got top 5 pace, and then something like that happens, and you're stuck behind drivers you feel like you shouldn't have the race right now. But everybody's out here vying for position. These aren't computer drivers. These are real guys putting in the real work and doing their absolute best. So even if you're a tenth faster or something like that early on the run, these guys aren't just going to give it to you early on. You got to fight for every spot. When you put yourself at the very back like that, it just makes it exponentially harder on yourself.
We got about 2 little mini trains going on. Hank Steinmiller leading that initial group of drivers, falling all the way back to around 6th place. And then there's a pretty decent gap from Gerald Campbell all the way back to Dylan Thomas. And behind them, you got Alexander Van Sant trying everything he can, as well as the 46. Ryan Barbary, he's a driver right now, the 46 machine, who needs to go and gets into Thomas. And our spin, Thomas luckily didn't get in the wall, but caution number 2, 3 total, comes out.
Which driver was that, Sam?
It's going to be Dylan Thomas getting bumped around by the 46 of Ryan Barbary. Well, I think it was because he didn't fully spin around that it didn't fully accept that as a wreck, but big credit to Dylan Thomas. He got spun around 45 degrees on the entry of turn 1 and able to hold on and not go around, as you're going to see here. Taps, spins, and able to hold off and stay off the wall. Great call there from Dylan Thomas to not overcorrect and just dump it into the outside wall.
Yeah, Barbary just gets in the inside of him. Thomas locks it up, goes full save by Thomas. That couldn't have... I mean, so far as the 2 yellows we've had tonight, if it's going to go bad, that's probably your best case scenario there.
Absolutely. I mean, both drivers that have spun to bring out a yellow flag besides their stage caution, they've kind of gotten in spins that they haven't done a lot of damage to themselves, which big plus on their part, but you don't want to be putting yourself all the way in the back. We'll wait and see who's going to get the EOL for that one, because it honestly could be either one of these drivers.
Yeah, I didn't catch too far in the replay. I mean, it looks like you just got a little bit of a love tap from behind, but if you drive down on somebody as well, it puts everybody in an awkward spot. So looking forward to your race report from Race Control and see what they have to say. Or it might just be declared a race incident. We'll see.
Well, I think it's the 46 being deemed with the EOL after making the contact with Dylan Thomas. So the driver that made the initial contact getting hit with the EOL. I think this is a fair call. I mean, yes, it was a racing incident, but the caution wasn't made because of the move the 46 made.
Yeah, Barbieri's getting hit with that one, so we're going to show him going back. So Brent Jones, he gets his lap back, and he goes back into pit every time. So I'm not sure if Jones is fixing a bunch of damage on that truck, trying to get ready for later on the race, but this is actually the second time I've seen him get a lucky dog, go back out, and then come in under the next caution. So Brent Jones trying to figure something out with his 89 machine. He's got to be fixing damage. That's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, there's some hard licking damage on the right side, so it looks like he has clobbered the outside wall a couple of times here and was able to get damage repaired and back out on track before going to the lap down again. So we are now officially back to 23 drivers on the lead lap, and we are inching closer and closer as we are now coming to 13 laps to go before the end of stage number 2, and looking like once we go green, it might be 12 to go for these drivers.
Yeah, Barbieri came in as well. He was a 3.95 second pit stop. So not sure what the plan is here, or if he was trying to see how much damage he had, maybe.
Well, he got hit with the EOL, so he has to go all the way back to the end of the line. Why not come in and check out that damage? And it looks like he did have a little bit, and that's why he got the service done.
Poor Brody Moore still showing his pit lane for 20 minutes. I hate to see that for more in the 11 machine. That's an early night to have to come in and have your race just over with.
Yeah, I mean, it was so interesting. I went back and watched the Brody Moore incident, and it didn't look like he blew up his engine at all. I think he's just got too much damage and just deciding I'm just going to sit in pit road for the rest of the race. Might be a start and park type of incident.
Here we go. We're going to re-rack them once more. Lap 68. So the stage ends in about 12 laps or 11 laps once they cross the line. So this is going to be a shootout. You got Jeff Green. He's back up there in the mix. We know he's got the pace for run front, run hard. 63 checks up, though. That Steinmiller doesn't get a good launch at all. Almost gets dumped by Jeff Green, who has to check up a massive amount while the rest of the field just flies on by.
Yeah, Gerald Campbell did not get the launch that he wanted. Jeff Green going to be stuck on the high side, going to be dropping back to 5th, could be dropping back to 6th place. As our front 5 doing their best to get single filed out. Gerald Campbell, he's trying to make just a groove higher work for himself. He's in front of Harrison Talon, able to run in 7th place, losing a little bit of ground there because of the wheel spin, it looked like, to the drivers on the outside. The stack up that they made really worked out for themselves, as Jeff Green, a very late block that I thought for sure was going to be taking him out.
Yeah, Jeff Green's throwing some heavy blocks. Campbell's throwing some blocks. It's excuse me, no, it was Green and Vandesen, I think, all doing some pretty impressive blocking. But Green made that thing 3 trucks wide in a heartbeat.
Here comes the 20 on the inside. He can need a better launch because Vandesen had to back out. Thought he was going to hit the wall. Gerald Campbell, he's looking good. What a comeback it's been for him so far. Also for Dylan Thomas, who's back in 9th place. Getting spun around, but still running up front. But Vincent Isabella, update for the 42, was running up in our top 10. Currently in 12th. After some of the spills that have been going on around him, he's finally gotten through a hornet's nest that is now behind him that he's happy to get by.
I guess the bad news for Isabella, he's got a hornet's nest in front of him as well, as we see really aggressive blocking and sliding around so far. Now it's going to be the battle for 7th place. You've got Harrison Talon. He's all over Jared Campbell, and behind him he's got Dylan Thomas, Alec Balvin. They're all pushing really, really hard as well. Drivers starting to work on a few different lines. You see some guys trying to make that middle groove work a little bit better, but as these trucks tighten up, it's going to be really, really hard to hold it wide once you hit your apex without drifting up in the wall here at Richmond.
One of our playoff drivers is in kind of a must-win scenario, that of Zach Evans, stuck in 15th, and heavy battling that he's having with himself, as well as Tyler Dixon and Dustin Dorr behind him. But you're just seeing it up front. This is the battle for the lead. I gotta say, for the whole entire field, the ones in the back, they're staying side by side, hard racing, which is hurting their tires and not enabling them to move forward. The guys up front, they're all single filed out, and they're kind of playing a little bit of chess games between one another of who's saving and who's not.
Yeah, that is going to wheel out those top 5 guys to hammer down, put down a little bit of space, but we've only got 4 laps and 10 drivers across the line before the stage ends, so these guys are fighting for every position they can before the stage ends. Then we go into our final 70 lap stage. But right now, it's Tyler Dixon. He's side by side with Ryan Barbieri, and none of these guys in the back are willing to lift it all. Oh Lord, we see Dustin Dewar get all out of shape.
Oh, Dustin, don't get too out of shape there. Almost got himself coming back up in front of Tyler Dixon in the 46. Would have been a little bit treacherous for themselves, but luckily everyone's still staying straight, as we've only had 3 cautions, one of them being a stage caution, the other 2 spins during here in stage 2. Not really surprised.
Some really good racing for, I think they're battling for 17th right now, so they're pushing really, really hard and trying to get every position, but I think that's going to be slowing their race pace down an absolute ton. They're too busy going door to door to actually move forward any.
Yeah, and then you drop back for the battling that was going on for 19th. Looks like they've cleared it up, but that of Dylan Jones and Amar Keels, they've been really battling hard with one another. Finally, the 22 winning that battle, but it's been a very interesting type of drive for the back half of the field, as there's little pockets of great racing that we've been seeing going on. But the leaders, they are certainly been putting on the best show up front.
Yeah, Burrell, Steinmiller, Frankenfield, Weeks, these guys are all running single file, pretty fairly spaced out at this point, maybe a 10th or 2 separating everybody. So nobody's going to risk a good dive bombs here. Jeff Green, he's battling with Alex Van de Sand, the 97 machine. That's your battle for 5th. So Green finally back up to where he started, 5th place. So he's got to be happy as we get ready to close this stage out.
Waiting for 10th place, Alec Balvance to come across the line, and then there'll be the end, and there we go. Alec Balvance is going to get that final spot with Dylan Thomas almost losing the 9th place position, but David Westergreen not able to get bonus points, nor was Vincent Isabella. Isabella right now had the biggest margin of a gap to work with, being 2nd in points, and I believe the difference was about 17 points was the difference. 16 points was the difference between 2nd and 5th place in points, so still a lot of buffer to work with all those drivers, but that of Ethan Burrell, Hank Steinmiller, once again up front, doing a great job for themselves.
Yeah, we're getting ready to watch the field come into pit lane. You can see pretty much everybody taking 4 tires full fuel here and see if they can go to the end. These leaders, generally the really fast top 5 guys, like to see it stretched out in green flag runs, lets them to work on different strategies instead of everybody being on the same pit cycle. So these guys are going to hope it goes green with no cautions, and then the guys running towards the back are going to be hoping and praying for cautions so they can get back in the mix of it.
Yeah, and also if cautions come out later in a run, the possible chance of drivers trying to just stay out, taking 2 tires, or even taking 4, are thoughts that are going to rattle through their brains if they want to try to make a move to try to win this race. I mean, some of those drivers that are going to be in a must-win scenario, like you've got that of Zach Evans, Harrison Talon, they're going to be putting their best foot forward for a chance at this. You know, another driver that's in our top 12 that I didn't mention, who isn't even here, Chuck Sweeting, another one of our short track kind of specialists, also really good at saving his tires, not here. So we're seeing a real definition of drivers that were able to show up. And Harrison Talon, Zach Evans, they are in a must-win scenario. You kind of could throw Jeff Green into that mix as well. And this is it. You race to the end. Stage 1 and 2 are done. Those bonus points that you could grab, they are out of the way. It's all about where you can finish at the end of this race.
Look at good old Westergren. We haven't talked about our friend that much, the number 2 machine. Beautiful looking paint job. He's up 4 spots, currently sitting in 11th. He's doing his absolute best, and for a broadcaster, he's not doing that bad tonight, Sam.
Absolutely not. You know, another broadcaster that I've worked with this past Friday in a different league, Michael Goodman, going to be back in 12th. Mike's been doing a pretty good job for himself, keeping that 44 out of trouble. But for David Westergreen, he's shown that he's got pace to be up in the top 10, qualified in 15th. But the race pace is there for this too.
Yeah, looking forward to see what the Battle of the Broadcasters does. These guys will be battling for 11th, trying to move up in that top 10 at the end of the stage. So hopefully Westergreen and Goodman can do a great job and maybe preserve a little bit of tires as this run develops and try and make something happen here.
Cannot wait to see it. Well, the field is slowly diminishing. We've had 4 cautions. 2 of them have been stage breaks. The other 2, one was Vincent Isabella self-spinning. The other one was that of Dylan Thomas getting a little bit of a bump from the 46. Now it's the question of, are we going to be staying green like we've been seeing, or is everyone going to be feeling that tension of the fact that we are past the halfway marker? It's time to get aggressive and gain all the positions you can on this restart.
It's going to be good. We know Burrell can get great starts. Frankenfield's been getting pretty good starts as well. Green, he kind of had a bad restart that last go around. I believe it was Van de Sand in front of him that had a little bit of tire spin and really stacked up the field. So Green's going to be charging hard as soon as this thing goes, gives him the opportunity. We've seen him take pretty, I don't want to call it risky passes because he's not a disrespectful racer, I guess. But we know he can make aggressive passes and make it stick early on a run when he has the tires, the grip to kind of play with and up that traction thing some. So looking forward to Green. I'm predicting a couple passes in the first few laps for Green.
An interesting call, but race control deciding to give an EOL to Alexander Van de Sand, so he's going to go all the way back to 23rd position. I wasn't able to hear exactly the reasoning why, but that is a huge thing for our driver that's 4th in points coming into this race.
Man, that's odd. I don't know, maybe they got him for purposely stacking the field. You called it his wheel spin, and I couldn't quite see what it was, but Green kind of ran in the back of him, almost ran him over, so maybe he made a mistake in his wheel spin. He got bad luck from race control, or maybe they look at something we didn't. They do have the onboard. Walgreen goes around, I believe, but race control can see. Oh no!
Leaders up front. It's going to be Gerald Campbell, Chad Frankenfield spinning around up front. And just like that, the two champions just taken out. And oh no! David Westergreen, no!
So look, it's tandem. So the number 20, he gets loose, and Frankenfield does the exact same thing just ahead of him before he goes around.
It's just poetry in motion. Both of them sliding the same way, and David Westergreen.
Oh, Westergreen.
Just coming down and T-boning the 20, and Westergreen got loose. Similar fashion that we saw from that of the 15 and the 20. Just instead of Westergreen having grass to try to save himself, he ran right into the 20.
So let's watch Westergreen. So that's 3 trucks. Just got a little bit. Yeah, Westergreen does the exact same thing. He gets loose all by his lonesome.
That's what fresh tires here tonight. I mean, it's just that loose sensation of trying to get into the throttle a little bit too soon. You saw there, I mean, 2 front runners and a driver that was running in the middle of the pack, all doing very similar things, just showing how difficult it is to get the tires warmed up and feeling a lot more comfortable once you get going.
So Frankenfield probably keeps his truck relatively clean, all things considered. He's going to come into pit lane and try and get it sorted, but so it looks like it's going to be Westergreen takes damage, and then Campbell's going to take damage in that one as well.
Looking at it, looks like EOL is going to be given to both Chad Frankenfield and Gerald Campbell for that little bit of a spill. They were already going to go to the back half of the field, try to get some damage repaired for themselves. It looks like just damage repair for a little bit of damage repair for the 20. Chad Frankenfield, he got a little as well. It was very similar amount of damage for the 15 and the 20. It was Westergreen, though, that really had to stay in for a while.
Yeah, Westergreen, once he got loose, just like you said, everybody else was able to relatively get into the grass pretty smooth and pretty safe, but unfortunately for Westergreen, there was Mr. Gerald Campbell right in his trajectory.
Well, Kyle Walgreen was the initial driver that spun on the backstretch that did not bring out a caution because he spun off of the racing surface. But 37 also had to get some damage repairs, able to stay on the lead lap. But Gerald Campbell felt like he needed to get back into pit road. Still damage repairs needed for that team, and he is now 1 lap down. It could be more.
Man, what a roller coaster for Campbell. Starts up front, all the way to the back up front, and here we are again. So he's got about 60 laps to try and get back out there, but he's in the pit box for over 40 seconds so far. So not what Campbell wanted to see tonight at all.
No, it's been about 11 laps since it happened, but we never really did a rundown of your Stage 2 and where they finished. Stage 2, where they finished, was Ethan Burrell in first, Hank Steinmiller in second, Chad Frankenfield in third, with Matthew Weeks, Jeff Green, Alexander Van de Sant, Gerald Campbell, Harrison Talon, Dylan Thomas, and then Alec Balvance, your 10th place for Stage 2. So, a couple of the playoff drivers getting some bonus points for themselves. Great to see. But this caution massively helps Alexander Van de Sant get right back into the mix of things, as he's all the way back in 19th. Needs to gain a lot of ground if he wants to be up to where the 46 and the 38 are.
So Burrell, he's up 1 spot. He's currently sitting in first. You got Matthew Weeks. He's up 7 spots in second. And Jeff Green, he's still sitting third. He's up 2 spots. Harrison Talon up to fourth. Dylan Thomas, he's up 7 spots into fifth. So the top 5 kind of got shaken up pretty rapidly after that one.
I mean, Alec Balvance in 6th place, this 5 machine, he can have some moments throughout the season, 1 to 2 races, where he just shows off that he's got speed, but usually we see Balvance kind of in the middle of the field, not up near the top 5. It's exciting to see the 5 machine up here having a chance for a top 5 finish.
Yeah, really, we always root for the underdogs. It's really fun to see guys that kind of develop their race program as the season goes on and figure out a few things, work with different drivers, kind of get stuff sorted out. So always cool to see drivers developing and getting quicker and quicker every time we broadcast their event.
Alec Balvance this season, 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s. Could be a career, at least a season best finish if he could finish where he's at right now. Green flag in the air as Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks, and then battling for third place, Harrison Talon and Jeff Green.
Yeah, look at Jeff Green. He's gonna make some moves here. Looks like Burrell and Lee kind of work together, stack the field up behind him. There's a little bit of a bumper banging going on before the restart. All his spares in love and short track, so they're gonna stack the field and try and leave the carnage behind them so they can work together and check out a little bit. But Harrison Town and Jeff Green, they're willing to work and push really, really hard here. Tires are scuffed in, so you can see these drivers push hard. So far, so clean as we make our way around.
The big kitty pink machine of Vincent Isabella now up to 7th after all the carnage that's been going up front. He's now trying to make a move here on Dylan Thomas to make himself up to 6th. A lot of drivers trying to make moves, but only side-by-side action up front is for 6th place. Here comes Isabella, going to be getting a little bit squirrely coming out of the corner. The 42 certainly has the pace, and then behind him is the 44 of Goodman, and that of Zach Evans. I touched on it. He's the win as Thomas gets loose again. Isabella contact as we stay green, and that's going to be 2 positions for Goodman.
Oh man, Isabella and Green got so ridiculously lucky there. Not Green, excuse me, Thomas. That could have went way, way worse. I thought for sure they were going around.
Thought for sure that Isabella was going to hit that outside wall and come back into the crowd, or Thomas continuing so, but you know, Michael Goodman might need a change of pants after that one, watching those drivers spin in front of him and practically having nowhere to go.
Yeah, well done to all those drivers. That could have been spectacularly worse for what was just about to happen, so I'm impressed.
A little bit of a spill. They've now lost over a second on the drivers in front of them. Our top 5 really have started to pull away as we're watching this battle currently for 8th with Zach Evans and Dylan Thomas. It's Thomas we've now seen get spun, and the driver that spun him the first time, out behind him, it's the 46 once again.
Yeah, looks like it's Evans really trying to make that low line work, trying to get by Thomas. It's so hard to make a clean pass there when everybody's on the same set of tires and don't have a lot of room, but I think he's going to get a little bit of space right here, and he should be able to clear it going to the next corner and then run his preferred up line. He doesn't get pinched so bad by Thomas. Here comes Ryan Barbieri. He wants on the inside as well, so he's going to try and follow Evans and see if he can get a 2-for-1 around Thomas.
Then following them, the 18 truck of Josh Personette. He has had an up and down day, pretty similar to that of Gerald Campbell, and we're seeing what the 18 has now, currently running in 11th place and potentially could crack the top 10.
This is a good race. She's seen the 46 and Ryan Barbieri. He's looking high, looking low, seeing what's going to be a little bit faster for him. And then all over him, Joshua Personette. These guys are willing to wait and see what these drivers in front of them, what type of mistake they can make, and see if they can capitalize on something. But I don't think we see Barbieri waiting very long as he really dives it up the inside, trying to get some time on the drivers in front of him.
About 2 positions back, we see what was formerly our top 3, that of Hank Steinmiller, Chad Frankenfield, Alexander Van Assen, in 13th, 14th, and 15th for themselves. They're starting to stall out, not able to really make some moves. As still is amazing racing action. Evans got to be careful not to drift up and get that rear end really sliced on. As Thomas does his best and finally makes it.
Yeah, Evans finally gets clear, and here comes Barbieri. He's going to try and capitalize on it as well. He's all over the rear bumper of that 03 Dylan Thomas. And look at Joshua Personette diving up the inside.
Now just enough space, trusts the spotter's call of being clear, and makes that move work and gets the run, gets a little bit loose, but here they come. Could be 3 wide and 3-3.
Oh, Lord. So Barbieri having to check up a lot to avoid running over the back of Personette. Good, clean racing from all of our drivers so far. This is what we like to see side by side. Not overly aggressive as the 18.
Oh!
Oh, Personette all over the racetrack. That is the alternative line.
Just trying to get on the throttle a little bit too soon and found that back end looping around, and it looks like after running the low line so much and trying to get aggressive, starting to see that rear right getting a little bit too hot. Now losing positions to both that of Hank Steinmiller and possibly Chad Frankenfield here.
For Personette, not having the night that he was hoping for as he starts shuffling his way to the back. Still up 11 positions from where he originally started, so nothing to sneeze at, but not exactly what he was hoping for, I would say.
Absolutely not. And now we're also watching this battle for third place between that of Harrison Talon and Jeff Green. These are two drivers that are kind of forced into must-win scenarios, especially with the drivers dropping out like flies. We already had that of Brody Moore having issues earlier on. Gerald Campbell has still been in pit road ever since his incident and having contact with that of the two. And now seeing Kyle Walgreen going to be in pit road getting service done for the 37. And right now, it is not looking good for Green or Talon points-wise with where the other competitors are running currently.
Yeah, we know Green's a fast driver, and we've seen him throw some absolutely spectacular blocks going on the run, so he's going to try and slow up Talon just a little bit. So Talon's kind of stuck in a battle situation with Volvans and Isabella, who's back up to 6. I mean, so many talented drivers that have the pace run up front. Isabella takes a peek down low of 05s. It's going to be Valvans, but can't quite make it stick as that middle line leaving the apex has been dominant, carrying the most amount of speed down these straights.
Valvans trying to get his best finish of the season. And what a night it would be for this 5 team, able to get their first top 5 and top 10 of the evening. And this whole entire season that seems to be such a long one for this team that just nothing really has been able to click for Valvans. He seems to be every night caught up in someone else's issues.
Yeah, a lot of these drivers take for granted. I mean, everybody wants that win, that top 3, but a top 10 in such a stacked field is definitely an accomplishment as itself. We look at Harrison Talon, he might have some problems going on that DoorDash machine as he's blinking in and out.
Yeah, continuing to show a little bit of internet issues, and that's been going on for the past 5 laps or so for the 51. Got to be hoping that those connection issues get fixed as Talon continues to lose ground on our top 4 and giving up space for the 5 and the 42. Another driver that hasn't gotten a top 5 or top 10, Michael Goodman in the 44. That team also having probably their best race of the season right now if they can keep it clean and green up front.
Yeah, Goodman, I think he's watching the battle between Talon, Valvans, and Isabella. He sees how tight it is, and he knows if he can get close enough to capitalize, but not so close as the ball incident comes around. He watches Isabella dive to the inside there. He knows he's in a good spot to make a couple positions as the run develops, but doesn't want to put himself in a high-risk situation either on going on to this run.
As these drivers still battling on, let's give a little bit of huge props to our leader at the moment. Ethan Burrell has led practically every lap this race. The 24 has just been on a tear tonight. I know the last time he touched the trucks 2 weeks ago at Charlotte, he had to drop all the way to the back, had some banner issues that put him back there, really had to march his way forward and got caught up in some incidences. But here tonight, put the qualifying time down, had a little bit of help from Gerald Campbell not able to take the green, so he became the default pole sitter, which then allowed him to pull away and hasn't looked back since.
Yeah, he does have Weeks behind him, though. He's up 7 spots, and we know Weeks has what it takes to run up front. So Weeks might be just kind of watching and waiting to see what happens as the run develops. They're going to see these top 3 guys. They're all really smart. Burrell, Weeks, Green. They know about tire savings. We've seen races decided by fuel at the very end of the race. Not going to happen tonight, again, with that 100-lap fuel window. But these guys are going to be saving a little bit of tires as things develop and kind of just click off laps single file for now and be happy about it.
As well as our field still have 1 set of tires to work with for themselves, so still a lot of, if a caution comes out now, this would be the prime time for if someone decides to pit, take some tires, because the difference in speed right now is over a second. So you've got a chance, if you've got fresher tires, to really march your way through the field.
Yeah, one second a lap, more than 20 laps left in the run. That's definitely under caution when you get the tires. That's a chance to make up a lot of time as it develops. But I think we're all on the same page. When caution comes out with more than 35 to go, you'll see most of the field dropping in, taking at least 2 tires, if not 4.
Still amazing battling going on. This is still a great challenge to see who's going to be in the top 5. You got Ryan, Alec Valvance, Hank Steinmiller, who's done a fabulous job in the 63. been able to get up to 7th, and now going to be possibly making his move forward. Hank Steinmiller, I mean, at the start of that last run, was all the way back in 15th and has moved up into almost the top 5.
Yeah, Steinmiller, a great driver. He's trying to get himself clear of Alec Baldwin so he can run that preferred left even. He should have it right here. He will check up the 5 just a little bit. Not really a block for everybody trying to run the same line. It does give him the benefit of slowing down the pace just behind him. So Balvins will have to worry about Isabella, who's all over him right now. So Steinmiller can focus on Ryan Barbieri in that 46 machine.
Barbieri's going to be just lingering along. And this driver, for Barbieri, his whole entire goal was to finish at least 9 points in front of 9 positions in front of Alexander Van de Samp. But Van de Samp has been able to get those bonus points from the stages. So we kind of turned the tables on the 46 to put him in a must-win scenario. It's kind of similar to that of Jeff Green, Harrison Talon, and Zach Evans if they want a shot to get into the Final 4.
Steinmiller makes a move on Barbieri, gets by clean like it was nothing. So Steinmiller has Harrison Talon in his sights now, and he's going to try and squeeze up to that 4th place spot.
Driver that almost brought out a yellow and has to come into pit road now, Tyler Dixon. Hard into the wall coming out of turn number 2 and decides to come in, get some repairs done, and it feels like, you know what, too much damage, I'm just going to park for the night.
Yeah, I hate to see that for him, but these guys are playing it smart. As much as they want to be out there winning, they also don't want to be the guy that brings out a caution this late in the run. So well done for Dixon for the professionalism of getting off the racetrack after he made a fortunate error this late into the race.
Oh boy. Battle for 4th. Been watching it, and honestly, Hank Steinmiller, looking at the times that are being placed, running very similar lap times as the leader of Ethan Burrell. Matthew Weeks was running slightly faster than Ethan Burrell for about 2 laps, but they're now starting to equal out as well. Lap traffic starting to see this David Westergreen, who was heavily damaged after making contact with Gerald Campbell. He's just trying to get out of the way of the rest of the field.
You know, Westergreen's going to run that high line, do his best not to get pinched off by any of these guys. There's not, I mean, not a lot of racetrack to really get out of the way here. Everybody's out there racing, doing the best they can. And I mean, holding the line is the most predictable and best thing you can do, but 25 laps to run, that does slow down Barbieri just a little bit. And we see Steinmiller diving down the inside of Talon.
Steinmiller recognizing needs to get the track position now. If a caution comes out, you'll want to be in 4th place and have a shot to possibly make some bold moves. And now, Hank Steinmiller cleanly makes the pass. The only issue, next driver in front of him, 2.8 seconds to Jeff Green. As our front 3 are very far ahead. Not really a question of where or who's going to be up there. It's been Ethan Burrell, Matthew Weeks, Jeff Green for most of this end of the race. And big credit to them. Looking at the rest of the field, though, lap traffic could be a factor for our leaders here in the final about 10 to 5 laps.
Yeah, so it looked like Steinmiller was about 0.2 seconds faster than Green, who's in front of him that last time around. So over the next 22 laps, he should be able to whittle away that 2.5 second gap. But Green also might have something reserved. I mean, they're really smart drivers. They can be saving tires and don't let them push it. So Green might just be happy going around in 3rd. He doesn't have about a 1.5 second gap to Weeks, who's in front of him in 2nd. And about a 2.5 second gap back to Steinmiller. So he doesn't really have to push quite yet. Might save some tires. That way, if Steinmiller does get up there, Green can get back on the gas and start clicking them off again.
That's right now, Ethan Burrell coming in turn number 3. Matthew Weeks is practically just waiting to try to get within another 10th. If he could somehow get a 10th closer, might be able to use that front bumper as a weapon to get the 24 out of shape and out of the way. It's just a little bit too far right now, as they are now 20 laps to go here at Richmond for the GoFMX.com 150. GoFMX.com. Go check them out for more information. Thank you so much for GoFMX.com for joining us. I know they've been a part of sponsoring races here a couple times this season. It's always great to have sponsors coming in and helping out such a great league.
Now, talking about Weeks using his front bumper, we've never seen him use the good old-fashioned patented bump and run before, but like you said, he's about 3/10 off of Burrell right now, and he's got an over 2-second gap to Green behind him, so I'm curious to see if Weeks will be able to reel him in for the last 3 laps and make something happen. These guys are going to be pretty happy running around where they're at and just praying a caution doesn't come out at this point.
Well, if we're going to see a caution, it could happen around where 9th position is. Alec Balvance is getting challenged by Alexander Van de Sant, and Van de Sant should be able to make this pass cleanly now. Now pushing Alexander, pushing that Balvance to 10th place, and Alec, I mean, what a run that he's had. Goodman now falling outside of the top 10. Well, looks like the 44 might not be able to get that position just yet, as Brent Jones stays high for the leaders. That should be the last of lap traffic to the end of this race.
Well done for Jones. Kind of staying out of the way, very polite thing to do. Really appreciate it. Looks like Weeks lost a little bit of time in that one, though. He's down to a 0.6-second gap between the leaders, so wasn't able to get around Jones just as clean as Burrell would. Now he's going to put his head down a little bit, try and gain some speed, and try and get back up there to make something happen with it. It's going to be 15 to go when they cross the line.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest issue for Weeks now is he's had to do this couple of times already, this stint of trying to catch up to Ethan Burrell. And with the multiple times that we've been seeing the 14 trying to climb back up to get to the 24's back bumper, I think the tires might be gone and toasted this time. Thing for Ethan Burrell. As long as this race stays green, it's all in his hands.
Yeah, I think he should be able to hammer down and keep driving along. Guys in the back still pushing hard. You see Michael Goodman. He's trying to catch up to Alec Balvance, but he's got Zach Evans, Joshua Personet right behind him. And I mean, tire wear. As this run develops, these trucks are going to be so front-end pushy. It's really hard to drive any open line besides that very level trim down high. That's going to make it really tough to make a pass and any sort of drive in the straightaways after doing so to make it stick.
And then behind them, I mean, a lot of great racing from the 6 and the 88. Also could throw the 18 in there, but the side-by-side action for 15th, that's where we find ourselves with Dylan Thomas, Dustin Doerr. There's been a couple of times where I thought Thomas was going to pinch so hard on the 32 that there was going to be a wreck. And finally, I think that's Dylan Thomas waving the white flag. Just letting 32 go! As I say that, though, contact, we stay green as another amazing save made. But this time, it was Thomas giving the bump.
Yeah, Thomas, he got kind of door checked, I believe, by, I'm not sure who that was right behind him. 32, that's going to be Dustin Doerr. So Doerr tried to make a pass and kind of doored Thomas just a little bit. Next time by, Thomas let him know what he thought about it. Gave him just a little bit of a love tap in the bumper to upset Doerr, and then gets the spot back.
Absolutely could have brought out a late caution to turn this into a 6-lap shootout with fresh tires, but instead, the field, it continues on. We stay green in the battling for 3rd place. It's over in a blink of an eye. Jeff Green losing 3rd place to that of Hank Steinmiller. And Steinmiller just continuing to tick off laps like it's nothing, still running very similar lap times to our leaders. And now the question is what if Hank Steinmiller was running up front with our front 3 for all of this stint?
Yeah, I mean, Burrell put down a 23.43, Weeks put down a 23.56, Steinmiller a 23.56. So these guys are all on the same pace, but Green put down a 23.92 when Steinmiller made his way around. So he was 4/10 off what he has been running. Not sure if Green cooked the tires already or what might have happened, but very rare to see Green falling back like that, as Steinmiller absolutely checks out. So Steinmiller doesn't have the pace as Burrell right now is running the lead. He's doing 4.6s, but I mean he's rapidly moving his way up to the front.
Oh, Jeff Green just ran a 10th faster than Burrell. Steinmiller is flying right now, but the biggest issue is he's about 5 seconds back from our leader with about coming up to 7 laps to go in this race. It's kind of out of reach at this moment unless a late caution comes out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think Steinmiller's going to be able to get up there without a little bit of luck from the caution gods. But the fact that being charged that hard the entire race is really, really impressive.
Look at the field, some of the battles that could be attempted to happen. We're watching this one currently for 8th place. Isabella trying to hold off that of Alexander Van de Sant. These are drivers that could be battling between one another for the championship next week at Iowa. Another short track, pretty similar here to Richmond. So we're getting a pretty good idea of what we're going to see battling wise. Now the question is, Matthew Weeks, Hank Steinmiller, Vincent Isabella, Alexander Van de Sant, they're looking to be our final four for next week unofficially as they're running right now.
Good, clean racing for age right now. These guys aren't yielding anything to each other. I know it's got to be tough for Isabella to run that middle line and carry as much speed out. You see Van de Sant dropping low, using kind of every inch of the racetrack. He drops low, swings high, to carry a little bit of speed. But the fact that these guys are still pushing this hard on this old set of tires is really, really impressive.
Saving just enough for at the end you can make some bold moves. But man, 4 laps to go, coming to 3 laps to go. Ethan Burrell has led practically every single lap, and he's made it kind of look easy. At times, he had Hank Steinmiller on his back bumper. Then he had Matthew Weeks there for a bit. But at the end of the day, he's the one who's kept his tires the best, and now catching up to a little bit of lap traffic, asking them to go high, and Burrell continues to tick away as it's now 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it's been the Burrell show this entire stage. He's been doing a fantastic job of staying out front, keeping out front, and clicking off really respectable lap times, all things considered. Doesn't have much drafting partners to work with. We see him navigating lap traffic here.
Ethan Burrell entering turn number 3, coming out of 4, passing the 22 of Dylan Jones. Easily can do it. White flag in the air as it's now our 1 to go here for the GoFMX.com 150. The last race of the round of 12. From this race, we go to our championship 4 at Iowa next week. And Ethan Burrell, he might not be part of the championship, but he certainly put on a show here tonight. The 24 truck out of turn 4 will get it done here at Richmond.
Well done to Burrell. That was absolutely impressive to watch. That was really good racing all the way around, and less cautions than we thought tonight, Sam.
Oh, it was probably the cleanest we've seen a lot here tonight. Absolutely incredible racing is coming across the line in 10th place. It's Alec Balvance. He gets his first top 10 of the season, and what a way to have some momentum going into Iowa.
Well done to Balvance. He's been working hard, and he finally got up there and put down the results that him and his team were been hoping for all season. So well done. That is no small feat in such a talented field.
Ethan Burrell gets by the line and gets to burn it down for himself. We'll wait for the official numbers of what the points are going to be like, because admins have to go through all the stage points and then also calculate any penalties that need to be made. But we'll do a quick rundown of your unofficial final results. Ethan Burrell gets the win here with Matthew Weeks, Hank Steinmiller, Jeff Green, Harrison Talon, Ryan Barbary, as well as that of Chad Frankenfield, Alexander Van de Sant, Vincent Isabella, and Alec Balvance, your top 10.
Yeah, so many drivers had roller coasters tonight, from starting off up front, going to the very back, and then having to do it all over again. So, very impressive driving.
Looking at some of the other drivers that were looking for better days. Michael Goodman almost got his first top 10 as well. Trey Holmes is another one of those drivers that could have gotten a top 10. Zach Evans did not get the run that he needed to make himself into the final 4. And we kind of knew that he was a long shot to make it into the final 4, but great season for the 6th. To even make it into the playoffs and showing up week after week, trying to get as many points that he can get for the 6th. A solid season for that of Zach Evans, where he'll try to finish it out greatly for himself. And then dropping all the way down to the end and the drivers that weren't able to finish out this race. Gerald Campbell tried his best to finish out this thing. And looking at some of the other drivers, Dylan Thomas, another one of those guys that was running up in the top, 5, 10, did not get the run that he wanted after being spun a couple of times.
Yeah, very impressed with the good, clean racing tonight. I'm looking forward to what these drivers thought as well. It's could have went much, much worse for several people. Very glad to keep it green all the way around. It makes us happy as broadcasters and fellow racers. We like seeing good green flag runs, pit strategy work itself out. But for the most part, I think the pit strategy for that final stage was pretty easy. Hold it wide and turn left.
Yeah, he was coming for that one pit stop that was needed to finish out this race. And from there on out, just make sure you got the tires to have a great run at the end. And Hank Steinmiller, I think he was the real poster of that, of keep yourself, out of trouble. And then at the end, if you got enough tires, cut your way through traffic easily and found himself a top 3 finish. Great day for Hank Steinmiller and getting that momentum to show towards Matthew Weeks. Hey, if I was a little bit closer, this is going to be an interesting fight coming next week at Iowa.
Yeah, a lot of really talented individuals. So we're trying to get Weeks and Burrell up to the waiting room right now as we look at the unofficial results, but we do have Steinmiller available already.
Well, since we've already got him, we'll see if the others join in after this interview. But we'll talk to our third place finisher, Hank Steinmiller. Hank, it's Sam and James up at the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, Hank, this is this shows so much mental fortitude on your part. You've had to go all the way back to the end of the line and really charge your way through traffic there in this final stint of this race. How was it cutting through all that dirty air and traffic in front of you?
You just got to be patient. There's 3 wide situations back there, guys bumping into each other. You don't want to tear your stuff up coming through there, but it was a bad mistake at a terrible point in the race for me.
Now, Steinmiller, did you expect to be able to drive that hard, that fast? Was tire wear a concern? Because you were rapidly reeling in guys in front of you.
Once it got to clean it or clear in front of me, that they weren't 2 wide and 3 wide, I pretty much just put it as hard as I could. If I were up in the front, I would have saved a little bit more, but on it, the saving wasn't really doing much other than slowing you down. The tires weren't that bad, that worn after those 40 lap stints, so I wasn't too worried about it, but I figured I would eventually fall off. But it seemed like I was continually catching everyone in front of me, including the 2 leaders.
No, Hank, with this great run, it puts you into the Final 4. How are you feeling about preparing for the final race of this truck season?
That is one of my better tracks. I feel confident in that one, getting it done. It's kind of like this one, but a little bit, but I feel very confident going into that one.
Well, Hank, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for the broadcast. Juicebox Pod for partnering with me. Go check them out. Spotify, everyone at Lake Norman for putting the cars on the track. It's a fun time.
That's going to be Hank Steinmiller finishing 3rd here tonight, and a great run for yourself there, Hank, and good luck next week if they're going for that championship.
Thank you. We'll be getting it.
Absolute great run for himself. And then we got 2nd place, Matthew Weeks, who really another week of him just showing that he's got the consistency to battle for a championship. Matthew, it's Sam and James up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, another extremely solid run for yourself of being up front. It took a little bit to get up to 2nd, but did you really have anything for that of Ethan Burrell, or kind of did you use up your tires too soon?
I think I used my tires too soon. There was like 10 laps. I was just driving really hard. I wanted that fresh air because you can save your tires better in the fresh air. And I just burned them up.
Now, Weeks, we were kind of expecting the patented bump and run. We've seen you perfect it in the past here at the Elite Racing League. So just tire wear prevents you from getting up front? Were you planning on making something happen if you get within striking range of Ethan Burrell?
I was going to try to pass them. I wasn't really – I didn't have the speed to win tonight. Richmond's not one of my better tracks. So I might have moved him. I don't know.
It certainly would have been interesting if you were able to get him out of the way, as he was up front practically all race long. But we're going to a pretty similar racetrack next week, Iowa. It's the championship race. You already locked yourself up earlier at Dover. How are you feeling about going to Iowa next week?
I feel good. I'm not the greatest at these kind of shorter tracks. But I feel good. I think Hank's going to be fast. So that's the one I'm worried about is Hank.
You got Hank. I think unofficially it looks like Vincent Isabella and Alexander Van Sant. Those should be your other competitors that you're dealing with. So It's going to be a crazy one, but before we let you go there, we're going to let you have some space for some shout outs.
Shout out, to the Pro Edge guys, give me a chance to run it this season. Jordan Owens, putting a sponsor on SMRI for the chase, dude's awesome. And then can't forget Ryan Lutz, who sponsored me through the regular season. Me and him had issues. But still, he gave me the chance to run the series by sponsoring me. So thanks to him for doing that. And everyone else, all the friends, my girlfriend that watches and stuff, it's all good.
Well, Weeks, what a great run you had here tonight, and good luck next week for the championship race.
All right, thank you.
And then we've got the man that dominated all night long. Ethan Burrell just dominated it and never really looked back. Ethan, it's Sam and James up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Well, did you feel any pressure? Because it just seemed like you were in cruise control and everyone else behind you kind of used up their stuff.
Yeah, I tell you what, the number 24 Exalta fueled up racing Silverado was a hot rod, man. I showed up that, my work schedule doesn't work out most of the time, so I'm not usually able to run these truck races, but man, we went out there and we had a ton of speed. And yeah, those longer runs, I was, I knew I had good pace, short run pace, but I'd kind of try to jump out to a lead and then kind of conserve as much as I could, and really try to keep the guys at bay behind me. But yeah, man, it was a great drive. The truck was a hot rod.
Now, Burrell, I think this is showing as only your third race in the truck series and your second win. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I wasn't even sure if I had a win, but yeah, I usually not able to run these, but I got a rare chance. I got out of work early tonight, so I made it home just in time to get on the track here, and man, I'm glad I did.
No, I just checked. So that one win is only tonight. So you're at a 33% win average right now. So that's extremely impressive. Are you going to be running other leagues, or events here with the Elite Racing League, or are you just going to stick to the ones you can when your work schedule allows?
Yeah, I usually focus on Cup and Xfinity, but yeah, anytime I'm able to get on track in the Elite Racing Leagues, I take it. It's always a great time, and what a good clean race it was tonight too.
Yeah, clean is the major factor. I think we were all expecting possibly a lot more wrecks coming out, but overall a clean race it was. Well, Ethan, before we go, the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
Yeah, just shout out Fueled Up Racing. I usually run with the Pro Edge Racing guys, but hopped in a Fueled Up Silverado tonight. So shout out to Harrison and Casey Hatch and them at the team, and shout out to my grandma watching, my buddy Austin, and Jordan Owens as well. It's always good to have Jordan back, and thanks to you guys for putting on a good show, and everybody at Elite for putting this thing on.
Well, that's going to be Ethan Burrell taking the win here tonight, and congratulations on this win, and have a fun one celebrating it.
All right, thank you guys.
Well, James, that's it. The round of 12 is over, and we now are getting ready for the championship week next week. It's going to be a crazy one. Iowa for 150 laps. What were some of your final thoughts here tonight?
Sam, much cleaner than we thought it was going to be overall. A little bit of cautions in the first couple stages. The field sorted themselves out. We did lose a few good drivers that involved in those incidents, so hate to see it for guys like Gerald Campbell. I know Walgreen might have been involved, Brody Moore. All guys had bad luck, but for the most part, the field did an extremely good job navigating this, making clean passes, a couple of spectacular saves. So very impressed with the racecraft we saw tonight.
Absolutely incredible it was here tonight. Again, big shout out to Ethan Burrell showing up, getting a win. But it was all about us focusing on who was going to be the Final Four. We already knew Matthew Weeks after his win at Dover was locked in. There were 3 other positions to be gained, and there really wasn't much of a shakeup. It was Vincent Isabella. He has no wins, 3 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 0 poles. He's into your Final Four. Hank Steinmiller, 1 win, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s, and 1 pole. He's also locked in. Matthew Weeks, 1 at Dover. He has 2 wins this season overall, 7 top 5s, 7 top 10s, 2 poles. He's looking good. Already was locked in. And your final competitor, Alexander Van de Sant, he is going to be coming in with 1 win, 3 top 5s, 8 top 10s, and 1 pole going into Iowa next week for 150 laps. There's a lot of pressure on those 4 drivers. It's based on whoever can finish ahead of all the others, and I'm excited for this one. It might look like you have to win if you're also going to win the championship.
Yeah, it's going to be checkers and records next week, so I'm looking forward to it, Sam.
Well, again, thank you, James, for being up in the booth. It was a fun one here tonight at Richmond. 150 laps. Ethan Burrell gets the win. It's championship week next week at Iowa. Can't wait for it. And again, for myself, Sam Dyer, and for James East, thank you for showing up and watching tonight's race here on the Elite Racing Network. We'll see